Hey y'all, Archmage 12 here with another video, and I wanted to, I'm really, after not putting content up for about 2 months, kind of catching up with all the different events that happened in, news in the world and um, the gaming industry as a whole, and so I wanted to take some time out, a few minutes, to talk about, a loss that the gaming industry suffered earlier in October with the passing of Tomonobu Itagaki. And my condolences to his family, his friends, his co-workers, everyone that knew him personally. The industry lost a great one, and he's gone too soon before his time. And my memory of Itagaki is, one of high regard and respect. I rank Tomonobu, up there with the greats in the gaming industry, like John Carmack, Ed Boon, and so on and so on. Um, and yeah, like I'm a, as you saw in the previous video with the Halo teaser reaction, I'm a really big fan of uh, the Dead or Alive series. I would argue that I'm a bigger fan of that than I am of Halo. And you know, Tomonobu, he was, in my eyes, he was like, to me, he's like the top developer that ever existed, period. And mainly because he was able time and time again to take very few resources and deliver you know industry defining content. Like as stated, Dead or Alive, he released that game to be a major contender back in '96 on the original PlayStation. Back when Tekken was pretty much the only top dog 3D fighter, and you had Soul Calibur also, which was in top spot. Um, and there were no contenders to those two up until Dead or Alive stepped on the scene. Virtua Fighter, they had Virtua Fighter 3, but that was kind of a misstep in the series, which they recovered from later. But um, when you move on to Dead or Alive 2, this is where Itagaki, he really started to shine because the jump in graphics that we saw in like 2099 when 2 launched on Dreamcast and then again on PlayStation and then also again in Dead or Alive Ultimate. Um, there was a large period of where no other fighter, Tekken and Soul Calibur included, could match the visual fidelity and the polish of that game. And I think, he deserves a lot of credit for that because ever since Dead or Alive set that bar, everybody else has been trying to reach that bar and level of visuals. Um, Also, like he ushered in the era of like picturesque and like I want to say like um, movie level kind of Hong Kong action, driven gameplay in 3D fighter. With the multi-tiered stage environments that you see in Dead or Alive 3, Dead or Alive 2, up until every release after, right? We recently see that influence in Tekken 8, some in Tekken 7 with multi-tiered stage environments. Um, and Dead or Alive really was the originator of that, and they did it the best. And they still do it the best. So he really changed the industry in that regard. Also, just with um, you know being able to, as a developer, right? He was able to take Team Ninja and really draw a lot of performance out of any console that he touched. Any piece of hardware, this guy could crank out, you know, as much performance as possible to deliver his vision and his experience. Um, Also, like his era at Team Ninja was like, in my opinion, the last or the beginning of the end of an era where video games were complete, and if there were delays, um, the delays were meant to fully polish a game before delivery, and you saw the effort put in. Unlike the current standard today, where you got major studios that have hundreds of developers and they're releasing pre-alpha, alpha, beta trash, and really games aren't complete until like maybe a year and a half, 2 years, sometimes 3 years after their initial release, which is any gamer will agree that sucks right now. And if Itagaki was still here, and then also if he didn't fall from grace, we would see probably most developers not doing that kind of crap, because you would look bad, in juxtaposition to him and his team. Um, and also he, engineered different mechanics, like in Dead or Alive. I love the hold system, the triangle system. I think it's the best, most versatile and fleshed out gameplay mechanics for any 3D fighter, period. Um, it makes the barrier of getting into a 3D fighter, in my opinion, and being able to compete against, mid and high level, expert level players, and being able to hold your own, because you can say, you know what, an expert level tournament player might know all the frames and all of this and that, might know all the button combinations, but that hold system is there where I can like interrupt that and really play with the players like mine. You can really get into someone's headspace in Dead or Alive, in my opinion, better than Tekken and better than Soul Calibur. Like, you can really mess with someone to get in their head and set them up for traps and take advantage. So he kind of engineered this kind of gameplay where you can play chess and just trick people for real into making mistakes, even expert tournament level players, and you can be a newbie. I mean, I've been playing Dead or Alive since 2, and sometimes when I play 5 and 6 mostly, mainly 5 last round, and there's some newbies that jump on there, and they can sometimes surprise me, and I end up losing one, because they understand that there are mechanics in the Dead or Alive gameplay system where you can find a way in and you can find a win, as opposed to just button mashing. Um, and the other thing I liked that he did with the Dead or Alive series versus Tekken and Soul Calibur is that fluid in movement. I feel like this really came about, and it was there in Dead or Alive 2 and up, but it really matured in Dead or Alive 4, where like the players could really move around the map, and you really did. I mean, it's there, but you really didn't have to Korean backdash to like open up space and then dash into like close space. Like the movement was just naturally fluid, where the characters could move around the 3D, the 2D 3D space, and you could open that up to someone who's maybe a novice, and then get it to the expert level where you could use Korean backdash and so on and so forth. Moving on to the Ninja Gaiden series, like he really challenged Capcom. I feel like Ninja Gaiden back in 04 launched in a time where Devil May Cry hit the market, and no one really could hold a candle in terms of 3D action games to Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry changed the game, and it held the crown, and in a lot of regards still holds the crown, but Ninja Gaiden came in with enough uniqueness and added a lot of new things to a 3D action game where people stopped and was like, you know what? I think this is a good contender for best action game I ever played, or just one of the top 5 3D action platform games that wasn't Soul Calibur or God of War. And him and Team Ninja really did a great thing by saying like, you know what, we got some competition here, but we're gonna step in and compete also. And Ninja Gaiden stepped on the scene and has been amazing ever since. Now, I haven't played Ninja Gaiden 4 yet. I plan on getting into that when I have some time. But I just wanted to really highlight that this guy is going to be missed, and I hope with the passing of Tomonobu, that a lot of other developers that are, either you're new on the scene or you're a veteran and you've been a part of these teams where you're releasing pre-alpha and betas, and companies are canceling projects because things aren't performing well. I'm going to say, look to Itagaki's example. When you release a game, make sure you can release a game that's properly debugged, properly tested over and over again. When you release a game, it's full, it's complete, it's feature complete. It's not like you release bare bones and then we're gonna do the rest later. Nobody likes that, you know. So I think he is the one that really brought that into the gaming industry, and he, up until his passing, he was the person to. He's the best example of it, and I hope, you know, new developers going forward, and older ones who are still in the industry, um, you know, look to his example. So I'll end this here. The industry lost a great one and one of my favorite developers of all time, and I hope, you know, my condolences to Japan. They produced a great one, and you know, let's hope we get Dead or Alive 7, and whoever, if Shibori steps on the scene again, because I know he left, I think, the Tekken 18. Um, so if he comes back to Team Ninja, or if he doesn't, if it's someone new, just I hope whatever you deliver in Dead or Alive 7 is to the Itagaki standard, and that's how I'm going to put it. So, all right, guys, this is Archmage, and I'll see you on the next vid.